Forgive my question, have you worked on animation before?
Very small experience of it, a long time ago.
What did you make of the difference between on-screen acting? You're obviously such a presence on screen. To have only your voice there must have been
I think it's very freeing because my physicality on screen, the puppet, is very unlike my own silhouette. And also, the movements and the mannerisms you see on screen are not human, although they start sort of with humanoid silhouettes, but they do extraordinary movements and things. So I try to echo that with stretching vowel sounds and my accent and playing with my voice from a very relaxed starting point. I actually was lying down for most of my recordings. I know the recording studio quite well, and I've got some good mates who work there, and they rigged me up a sort of reclining chair. I could lie right, almost horizontal, and do all my recording like that, because I wanted it to come from a very relaxed part of me.
Has there been a conscious move on your part to do more films aimed at younger audiences, like Hugo, Ender's Game, even the Marvel movies?
I honestly have no strategy at all in my career, and very little say in it. It's random, but it's very gratifying, not only to play to a different demographic group, but also to suddenly find I'm exploring so many different ways of being an actor. In anime, I'm in Jungle Book soon, playing Bagheera. That's thrilling for me, and all these different diverse outlets for being stages, platforms, arenas for an actor to work. Very exciting right now.
That's John Favreau's film.
Correct.
Are you playing an animal? Is the character in Jungle Book an animal?
Bagheera, yes,
Yeah.
the leopard.
So how is that a performance capture?
No, I think it'll be computer graphics based very closely on real animals. So we have Mowgli as a real child, and he'll be surrounded by computer graphically generated animals.
Will it sound like it'll be your voice?
It'll be my voice. It'll be the voice you hear now. That's what John wants. I offered him all sorts of different things, even an Indian accent, but he said, no, I want your British voice.
You're a fan of the original stories?
Of Kipling?
Yes.
Long ages ago, but not recently. But this script is probably a lot closer to Kipling than the original Disney one was.
You feel the shadow of the Disney movie on the new Jungle Book, or kind of explore your own thing?
Yeah, explore my own thing.
Did you?
Isn't it like going back to basics, playing your voice, creating a character, like going to acting school? You know?
I think that if it is only the voice, you are thrown back onto resources and exploring sounds that I never went to drama school. I went straight into theatre, but fortunately my first few years were with the Royal Shakespeare Company, and we had in that company the most extraordinary voice teacher. She's quite famous, called Cicely Berry, and I worked with her, thank God, when I was starting out in my career, and a lot of the lying down, how to place my voice from a very relaxed position. It was all wonderfully reminiscent of going back to the basics. But I always like to do that in any role I do, to sort of dismantle and put it all back together again. Yeah.
Did that technique raise any eyebrows when you said, I want to do this performance?
Not really.
lying down?
No, I was surprised that they didn't. But I did have some mates in the recording studio, because I've worked there such a lot. It happens to be a recording studio very near the village where I live in the English countryside. It's very odd, but it's right in the middle of Oxfordshire. And they rigged me up this wonderful thing, and I just told the chaps who were in there, I'm going to lie down. They said, fine, and just put the microphone in the perfect place. And,
You started with Shakespeare.
I did, thank God.
Are you doing Shakespeare again now too as part of your career?
I'm not, but that voice and that writing and that grasp of patterns of human behaviour that he had never leaves me. So that whenever I look at a script, I see whether or not it measures up to some of the plays that I've given it.
Well, Gandhi was such a monumental film, and it covers his whole life. Did you take a lot of lessons from the life of Gandhi after making that film? The philosophical things like being the change you want to see?
I think that possibly creating that portrait of Gandhi was so absorbing, and I literally, in a sense, walked away from the picture. Maybe some things stick. I don't know. I honestly don't know. It's very hard to tell.
It was such an all-encompassing portrait of Gandhi, but I'm sure a life like that you can't even capture in a 3-hour film. Were there aspects of it you were, I don't want to say disappointed, but was it bittersweet to leave certain parts out?
No, I think that having played in classical theatre for about 15 years before I portrayed Gandhi, and stretched myself into roles like Hamlet, and extraordinary roles I played for the Royal Shakespeare Company. It's in the telling and the doing that you grow. I don't think it's in the philosophical reflection afterwards. I think that's where the growth takes place.
Do you have a particular favorite of Shakespeare that you just, in general?
Well, Hamlet, I think, is an amazing piece, and I was very fortunate to play that. And it was one of the Attenborough family that saw my Hamlet that said, "Okay, Dad, when you get the money for Gandhi, that's your man," and it worked out that way.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Besides The Jungle Book, what are some other films you were shooting since the Boxtrolls probably came in between a number of your films, and what performances are still to come out?
Stonehurst Asylum, Our Robot Overlords, Selfless, Exodus, Learning to Drive, Life, The Walk. There's loads to come out.
Exodus.
8 films
Exodus
coming out.
Ridley
Wow.
Scott.
Beautiful. Yeah, it's beautiful. I've seen little bits of it. It's amazing.
In what span did you film all 8 of these films?
About 2 years. I've been working very hard.
So you don't stop. It's a movie after movie.
Yeah.
How do you prepare for these roles? You obviously put a lot of yourself into that.
Yeah, but I think that I keep on coming back to the metaphor of the portrait artist. I think that your technique does evolve as you paint. And I think it's the same thing's happening to me. That, maybe when I started out, I had this collection of colours. Some colours weren't even on my palette. There are more colours now. And I'd self-consciously maybe, but now I'm doing this. I'm hardly looking. Strange, but and I hopefully I'm less fearful and more trusting of myself, and I act like a paratrooper in. I dive in.
There's a famous thing that happens to cartoonists, being as we're at Comic-Con. As they get older, they tend to both create more quickly, more intuitively, and also create with fewer brush strokes. Their work gets simpler and simpler as they go. I think that's a little bit of what you
Is it haiku? He said that when I'm 109 and I paint the lake and the fishermen and the clouds and the birds, I'll do it like this. And it'll all be there.
There was a time.
Wonderful.
There was a time when Hollywood would make lots of biblical films, and they don't very much anymore. So was it very special to get to do the Exodus story?
Very special indeed. An extraordinary story. And Ridley's going to make it so modern. I mean, it's all. He's going to make it tangible. He's going to make it completely about us. You know. Of course, it's set in ancient Egypt, but it's we're going to see. My God, you know, look at human nature. Look at human nature. Not a lot's changed, unfortunately.
You've gotten to play such amazing roles. Is there any type of role in particular that maybe you haven't gotten to dive into yet?
I've created a production company with my wife. We've got 6 films on our slate, and one of them is a naval commander, an admiral. I want to play a man in uniform. I have tremendous respect, admiration for that life that they lead. We know so little about it. It is never discussed or talked about when they come back from battle, and I want to examine the choices that have to be made in those terrible times. And that's one of the films on our slate. So I get to wear a uniform.
Fantastic.
And is the films you're developing with your production company primarily for you to star in?
Some I'll play a supporting role, and some I'll play a leading role, and one of them I'm not in at all.
Is that military film about any particular branch of the military?
Yes, it's the Navy, and it's the First World War. May 31, June 1, 1916, Battle of Jutland.
Do you have a particular interest in World War One?
I do, I always have, I don't know why.
It's a very British thing. Is it the extremely destructive war to the British psyche? Or?
Yeah. Really bankrupted us.
You mentioned on a lighter topic, this being your first Comic-Con. Did anyone prepare you in any way for what to expect or the experience, or?
I gave me drugs, but I didn't accept them. Take one of these now. Yeah, everyone said it's crazy. It's just been so well run and well organised. I've had a lovely time. I think the craziness is sort of outside this room. This is all so dignified.
So you're going back today, or
I am going back tomorrow morning.
tomorrow morning?
You should try and get out in the streets then and see some people there.
They won't let me. My publicist won't let me.
I'm sure they won't.
Not even if you can put a mask on?
You could dress up as a zombie, actually.
I can see it through the window of my car. Does that count?
Sure.
Good. Well, I'll go.
Sure.
I'll watch it in the car then.
That way you don't have to weave through everybody.
It's great
What do you
people
think-
watching.
What do you think of this kind of fanaticism for the things that people love? And you're a big part of you're on the inside creating this material that people go crazy for.
I honestly think it's connected to the storyteller and the bonfire. I think it's very, very ancient and beautiful. And it's the same thing, it's related, it's evolved from, but it's very simple. Telling people stories that they love. And the enthusiasm here is very touching, really sweet. It's innocent.
Yeah. Thank you.